All right, let's dive into one of the most powerful ideas in technology today, how computers actually learn. We're talking about neural networks, which are pretty much the engine behind all the AI that's changing our world. Let's get right to it. I mean, really think about that for a second. How would you do it? You can't just write a program with rules for what a cat is, if it has pointy ears and whiskers, because a cat could be a fluffy ball, or it could be sleeping, or jumping. The variety is just endless. So instead of feeding the computer rules, we need it to learn the rules on its own, just by seeing thousands and thousands of examples. And that right there is the exact problem neural networks were designed to solve. And the solution is just brilliantly simple at its core. It's called an artificial neural network. And it's a model that's inspired by the best learning machine we know of, our own brains. Now that isn't just a cool sci-fi analogy, it's the fundamental idea that gives these things all their power.
Okay, so inspired by the brain, that sounds great, but what does that really mean in practice? Let's break down what a neural network actually is and get into why it's so unbelievably good at learning from data.
Their power really boils down to a few key things. First off, they're insanely flexible. They can learn pretty much any pattern you throw at them. Then, and this is huge, they figure out what features are important all on their own. Things like whiskers or pointy ears for a cat. We don't have to tell them. They can also grasp these really complex, messy, nonlinear relationships in data. And finally, they scale up, big time. We can build gigantic networks to solve huge problems like understanding what you're saying or finding a specific face in a million photos.
So we have this amazing, powerful system. But to really get how the whole thing works, we've got to zoom way, way in, down to its smallest, most basic part. Let's take a look at the fundamental building block, the artificial neuron.
Okay. Just forget all the math for 1 second and just focus on the idea here. A single neuron is really just a tiny little decision maker. It takes in a bunch of different inputs. You can think of them as pieces of evidence. Each piece of evidence has a certain importance, or a weight. The neuron just adds it all up and then makes a super simple choice. Is this signal strong enough for me to pass on? Yes or no? To fire or not to fire? That's basically it. Now that little on-off switch that makes the decision, it has a special name. It's called the activation function. This is the secret sauce. This is the part that actually lets the neuron make a choice and say yes or no. Without this nonlinear switch, the entire network, no matter how deep, would just collapse into a much simpler, weaker model. This little switch is what gives the network all its power and complexity.
So it turns out you can use different kinds of switches. For a long time, an early version called sigmoid was popular. It's perfect for the very end, for that final yes or no decision, because it squishes the output to a nice clean value between 0 and 1. But for all the other layers deep inside the network, the modern champion is something called ReLU. It's incredibly simple, it's fast, and, as you're about to see, it solved a massive problem that was holding back AI for decades.
And here's that problem. It was a huge deal, called the vanishing gradient. With the old functions like sigmoid, the learning signal would get weaker and weaker and weaker as it passed backward through the network. So if you had a really deep network, by the time the signal got to the first few layers, it was basically a whisper. It was almost zero. And so the network just stopped learning.
And the solution is, well, it's almost funny how simple it is. ReLU, which stands for Rectified Linear Unit, its rule is basically this. If a number is positive, let it through. If it's negative, make it 0. That's it. But that one simple change was a total game changer. It meant that for any positive input, the learning signal, the gradient, was always a strong, constant 1. It didn't fade away. And that simple breakthrough let the learning signal flow all the way back through hundreds of layers, which really kicked off the whole era of deep learning.
All right, so we've got our building block, the neuron, and we've got the switch that makes it work. So now, how do we chain them all together? Let's follow the information as it flows forward through the network when it makes its very first guess.
It's really like a cascade, a set of dominoes falling. The data, let's say all the pixels in an image, gets fed into the first layer. Then, every neuron in that layer does its little calculation and fires, sending its own signal to every single neuron in the next layer. And this waterfall of information just keeps flowing, layer after layer, until it hits the very end, the output layer. And that layer spits out the final prediction, something like, okay, 87% chance this is a cat.
But look, making a guess is the easy part. The real magic, the thing that makes this whole thing work, is how the network learns from its own mistakes. And that brings us to the single most important algorithm in this entire field, backpropagation.
So before the network can learn, it has to know how wrong it was.
That's the job of the loss function. Think of it like a coach or a scorekeeper. It takes the network's guess, 87% cat, and it compares it to the ground truth, which is 100% cat. Then it spits out a single number that basically scores how big the error was. And the entire goal of training is just to get that error score as low as possible.
So how does it use that error score? This is the beautiful part. The whole process goes in reverse. The error signal gets sent backward through the network, and at every single connection between neurons, the algorithm essentially asks, "Hey you, how much were you to blame for this final mistake?" And depending on the answer, it just nudges the weight of that connection a tiny bit in the direction that would have made the error smaller.
Now, look, the actual calculus behind this gets pretty intense. It uses something called the chain rule, but you really don't need to be a math genius to get the big idea. It's just a super clever and efficient way of assigning blame for an error, starting at the very end and working all the way backward to tweak every single connection that had a hand in it.
So let's just take a step back. We have a very simple rule. Make a guess, check how wrong you are, and then go back and nudge all your settings in the right direction. Why is that so revolutionary? Well, it's all about what happens when you apply that simple rule at a truly massive scale.
Take a look at this number, over 109,000. That's how many trainable parameters, those little weighted connections, those dials we can tune, are in a pretty basic network designed just to recognize handwritten numbers. And every single one of those dials is being fine-tuned by that same simple backpropagation rule we just talked about. And that right there is the key takeaway. The intelligence of a neural network isn't programmed into it. It's not some master algorithm. It's emergent. It's a property that just arises from applying that one simple learning rule to millions or even billions of simple connections over and over and over again. That's the process that lets the network find patterns in data that are so subtle and so complex that no human could ever find them, let alone write a program for them.
When you really think about it, it's kind of mind-blowing. From just a few simple ideas, these little neurons, their on-off switches, and a clever way to learn from mistakes, we've built systems that can see, hear, and even create. So that leaves us with a pretty big question. If this simple learning loop is already this powerful, what's the next grand challenge it's going to solve?